He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
It is Hawaiian Shirt Friday on The Alex Marlow Show, and I was able to find one more Hawaiian shirt for any of you checking out on the streams, YouTube, Rumble. Always appreciate that. Thanks to all of you. We've got a lot of email over the last couple of days, which is always great. So we'll address some of those towards the end of the broadcast, and a lot of news, but I do hope all of you are headed towards a nice weekend. Incredible time of year. I was thinking, what's on my agenda this weekend? Pretty much nothing, which is pretty rare, but sadly that always ends up meaning I will do work. Lots of work, mountains of work, but all stuff that's for you guys. You're all going to enjoy some of the stuff I'm working on. I'm in heavy research mode at the moment, so weekends are dedicated to that quite a bit, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be busy with important things. And what could be more important than murder? An assassination, where I want to give you guys some updates, is United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now some experts, quote unquote, are saying it wasn't a hitman, so maybe it was just a disgruntled person. But this guy's at large. So this is day 4 now since this happened, I believe, or I guess day 3 maybe since this happened, and we don't know where he is. So maybe he's out of the country. You would assume so at this point, unless he's planning on killing another healthcare CEO. But there has been this absolute torrent, a barrage of hatred online for this individual, for this industry, for his family, and justification outright of murdering a innocent man on the street in cold blood who has a wife and 2 children. So just put yourself in the shoes of them. But now the suggestion is that this is all justified. So trigger warnings to any of you who are sensitive to the pure freaking evil, but I'm about to play some evidence of it. First comes from Taylor Lorenz, the star of left-wing social media. She's celebrating the murder. She was on her Bluey account, aka Bluesky. Something very amazing happening, and this came up on yesterday's show with Mike Cernovich, which I recommend to everyone. I've listened back to some of the interview, and I picked up so much out of the interview. Oh, that's very rude. Why is that alarm on? I'll have to address that later. But I picked up so much from this interview aside that I did not get while I was conducting it in real time. And that's what's so fun about these things. That's why I like these deep dives. I'm going to do them from time to time. It won't be every show. The main point of the show will be if I can give you my take on the news and what I'm thinking about it. But I want to have these interesting guests on because it broadens my horizons, and I think thus it must broaden yours. So you don't want to just hear from me. And his made an interesting comment about Bluesky, which is that what's going to happen is that the left is going to feel very relaxed there, and they're going to say things that are even more insane than what they were saying when they felt like they're being policed by a balanced media environment on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And there's also a trap there too, and I'll get to some of this in a little bit when we talk about the Hegseth nomination, that the right is that we're going to start infighting too, because the algorithms favor controversy, they favor infighting, they favor people going at each other's throats. But what's happening here over Bluesky is people getting very, very relaxed. Taylor Lorenz tweeted a photo with a smiling star with balloons saying CEO down. Yes, we want insurance executives dead. From something called usermag.co. And she puts on her Bluesky account, if you have watched a loved one die because an insurance conglomerate has denied their life-saving treatment as a cost-cutting measure, it's natural to wish that the people who run such conglomerates would suffer the same fate. Now, I'm not here to accept their argument and to debate the merits of it. We could do that later if we feel like it. But the main thing is this is an evil statement. This is this is satanic. That you've got a person who was published in the New York Times, was an employee of the Washington Post, who is out there cheerleading for murder because of something that a company had done. It's not, this guy didn't single-handedly not approve of whatever this murderer's grievances are. You can bet that this person is not directly involved in whatever that decision making was made, Brian Thompson. But the point is they're trying to justify murder because they were not satisfied the way their business operates. And just picture what a slippery slope this is. And if we go down this road where someone can get a execution can be justified, then I will tell you that I won't be able to leave the house without fearing for my safety. I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me over the years and have said to me that Breitbart put out some story and you guys ruined my life. And my thought was, okay, well, what's going to happen next? What is this person going to do? Are they going to pull a gun on me? Are they going to try to punch me? It's not every day that's occurred, but you can bet over the 11 years I've been editor-in-chief of Breitbart, that's happened a number of times, and it doesn't feel great. So when you have this normalization environment where you're saying murder is okay because we don't like the way your company operates, this is the road to hell. And it's not just Taylor Wren's crazy kooky person on Bluesky. This is actually happening on network news. We've got some examples of this. Let's play a little bit. This is from a medical doctor on CBS. Let me play this.
The fact that so many people are gleeful is the word that this has happened to this man just sort of stuns me. How did we get here?
That's Gayle King, who's going to be platforming a true monster right now on CBS Morning.
Look, vigilante justice is not okay.
Yeah.
We do have a country of law and order where there are systems to address these issues, which we can talk about more.
Okay, this is Dr. Celine Gounder. And first of all, she says there's a system of law and order to address these issues. This is not a law and order issue. This guy was an innocent. He was murdered on the streets in New York. He didn't do anything. There was no legal question going on here. So obviously that's her premise. I don't even know why she throws this out there. Let's see how crazy this woman gets.
But look, to quote Al Sharpton, the rent is too damn high.
That was not Al Sharpton, and I don't know why she's talking about the rent.
Healthcare costs are too damn high. And what we see in this country is that the number one cause of bankruptcy is healthcare related expenses. According to KFF polling, after groceries, transportation, and rent, healthcare costs are the number one cost of concern to families in this country. And so we've gotten to a point where healthcare is so inaccessible and unaffordable, people are justified in their frustration.
They're justified in their frustration. Healthcare costs are so high. Wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix this? There's no one on the right is justifying this murder. It's only left-wing people. Wasn't this the whole point of Obamacare is they're going to fix this? Going to make healthcare affordable? The system gets more and more socialized every year. I know this. I've got half of my family is in this industry. And it gets more and more, the government pays for more and more of it. And yet somehow we haven't solved this crisis in terms of costs to the point where we feel like we have to justify murder on CBS. This woman is a absolute stone cold moron. Who is this person? Celine Gounder. I do some digging on this. But the point that she went on CBS is a huge network and she's quoting Jimmy McMillan, political activist, and calling it Al Sharpton. That's a racist comment. She confuses two black men. So maybe she's a racist too, aside from being evil. Really weird stuff. This is going on all over. Let's play some footage of more random people on social media justifying the murder.
I've never seen Americans so united on something as I have over the last 24 hours in the comment sections on these news articles about the United Healthcare CEO.
If you think that I didn't need anesthesia to have surgery, you're insane.
I'm having a hard time being empathetic to the situation whatsoever, because this is a billion-dollar company, okay, that...
It's not a company. It's a man. He's got children. He's got a wife. This is what happens when a society becomes godless and secular. This is what happens when politics matters more than anything else. You lose your humanity. You lose your empathy.
That...
Frightening.
...denies access to people every single day.
And we're fighting with the insurance company over her dialysis to keep her alive.
Having said that, I think that there is something really instructive in seeing how almost gleeful people are about this horrible event. And the truth of the matter is what it tells me is something that we all already know, that Americans have just had it. We have had it.
She speaks for a lot of people. There, but this really isn't about this.
Yeah, she speaks for a lot of people. Gail King, totally cool with it. This is just an invitation for more murder. It's satanic. These people are satanic. Absolutely all of them. Healthcare insurers are removing executive leadership pages because of these wackos celebrating murder. There's no principle above whatever is their political mission. Their political mission is to get socialized healthcare, and that's what this is about. So that there is no expenditure that is not made, which is just going to decrease quality of care. America's still got the best care despite all of our faults. So that's what this is all about. Just note that. This is a political thing, and these secular, godless individuals justifying it. All right. New York is a total hellscape now. Complete chaos. Daniel Penny jurors are still deliberating, which I guess is a good thing. Probably best case scenario in New York. This is a political case brought by Alvin Bragg, clearly for racial reasons. Daniel Penny, a white veteran who was holding a man named Jordan Neely, who's black and was a criminal and was threatening people, murdering them on a subway. In chokehold, Neely died. And Penny is being charged with manslaughter. Jury's deadlocked right now. Jordan Neely's father has now filed a suit against Daniel Penny as the jury deliberates. So it's look, man, I wouldn't have done what Penny had done, but I would have done that because of I don't trust the system anymore. And when you got a guy like Alvin Bragg as the DA, you know you're going to get racially charged cases. It's just how it's going to be. There is no doubt there is discrimination in the legal system now against white men. It's just happening. So it's just so sad this happening in this country, but it is happening right now. So clearly a political case, deadlocked. Neely known for his criminal behavior, erratic outbursts. So, all right. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the weekend at Breitbart News. New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino told us, how many good Samaritans is this going to turn away? Exactly right. We're not going to help our fellow man. And we know the cops aren't doing a lot of their jobs because of the Ferguson effect. No offense to the police, who are oftentimes the thin blue line between law and order in our streets. They usually are. I'm a huge advocate for police. But we know that they're not policing as tough as they used to because of the Ferguson effect. They have to fear for their jobs, for their livelihoods, to get smeared in the public for good, just doing routine stuff. So we are playing with fire here. We are not protecting the citizens. We are not protecting the innocents. We are protecting the criminals and the deviants. It creates chaotic environments. One of the themes of the show, chaos, chaos, chaos. That's what people want now. They want a more chaotic environment. The more chaotic, the better. All right, let's change gears. Let's talk a little bit about political stuff. Big story politically right now continues to be monitoring the Pete Hegseth confirmation. A lot of people are pointing the fingers at Joni Ernst, senator, who appears to be the main holdup. At least that's what the reports are. She told Real Clear Politics, very good website, that I don't have a campaign against Pete Hegseth. Trump has reaffirmed his support for Hegseth and posted an article blasting attacks on him from the New York Post, opinion piece there. So this from Miranda Devine, who is known for a lot of her commentary on the laptop from hell. So Trump shared that, showing that Trump is still with Hegseth. Again, I keep saying this. We talked about this a lot in yesterday's show and the show before, and we'll continue to talk about it. This is a litmus test. We are trying to figure out whether or not we're going to have a spine to carry through Trump's revolutionary agenda. We are going to make America great again, and it's going to start with getting the swamp drainers in there, backing Trump, not backing down, being able to not let the media have control over who are running the various bureaucratic agencies in this country. That is our absolute number one priority at this time. There is simply no close second. This is first, second, and third priorities. So I'll tell you, and a lot of you who've been with me for a long time know that I like Senator Ernst as a person. I think she has a lot of good stuff. She's supposed to be in charge of the Doge caucus. She's kind of taken the reins, along with Rand Paul, but she's kind of taken the reins from Jim Inhofe and trying to police government waste. So she's a good person for this. But regardless of what I think of her as a person, I think she's a good person. If she's really trying to lead some sort of a coup behind Hegseth, it's not going to work now. The voter base is not there. We are so far gone on letting the left choose who's acceptable and who's cancelable in our lives. And when you're talking about 312 electoral votes, you're talking about winning the popular vote after all that Donald Trump went through, then we're not going to sit around and just let the left dictate that this person is, we're going to back down because the left wrote a couple of hit pieces about him. Now, she's got some credibility in the sense that she's long been an advocate for women in the military, but she's also said stuff that she'd be way more tolerant of trans in the military than I would ever be. So, yeah, I'm hoping she comes off it. I think she will. You guys heard my prediction. I think she will. I think she'll back off of it. I think she'll approve him ultimately. But I think Cernovich was right on the show when he said, you just got to bring this stuff up for a vote. Let the committees go through their process and make sure every single person gets on record. We cannot torpedo any more nominees without people having to vote because we need to know precisely who are the Republicans who stood in the way of Trump's agenda. And we're not going to do that without votes. The votes are the only way. It's the only way to get it. So it is clear as day to me that the base is just not going to tolerate any Republican. There's going to be huge primaries, huge media attention, more so than maybe they even deserve, even if they had a legitimate complaint. I haven't seen a legitimate complaint, to be honest with you. The more I learn about Pete, the more I think that he's qualified. But this is going to be another indirect result of the left tribalizing, balkanizing, going over to blue sky. It's going to leave us on the right to fight amongst ourselves, where we're going to be in this, we're going to be bored. We're just going to be sharing the same memes, and we're going to be sharing the same versions of the same stories the way the left has always done in their echo chambers. So what are we going to do? We're going to start policing ourselves. We're going to start trying to pick fights. And then when we do pick fights, it's going to get engagement. So we're going to pick a lot of fights, and we're probably going to fight too hard with each other just for the amusement of what it's like in the online environment, because we're not going to have as many lefties to fight with because they're going to be over on Bluey. So, but that does mean it's going to guarantee that you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. If Trump puts up a guy, and we know that he's highly decorated, as I went through on the show a couple of days ago, and he's got, all these commendations, all of these awards, decades of advocacy, combat veteran, Ivy League degrees, and Trump wants him in, we're not going to really be tolerant unless you show literal dead bodies. We're not going to be tolerant of any sort of objection. It's just not going to happen. And the heat of 1,000 suns is going to come down on all of you. Doesn't matter if you're a good person or not. If you're standing in the way, MAGA needs to run fast with the football down the field. That's what's happening. So it's going to happen. So don't block it. There's still, you see stuff, the Newsmax, Greg Kelly saying Hegseth is blackmailable with serious baggage. Like, what is this about? Why? It's just the outrage that Hegseth would be blackmailable and not Lloyd Austin, who gets a paycheck, a massive $1 million of paycheck from Raytheon, one of the top defense contractors. And that's exactly what will go right back, go making a bunch of money there. NBC News did us a favor. They wrote a story, nearly 100 former national security officials are alarmed at the prospect of Tulsi Gabbard leading the intelligence community. Good. That's what we want. We want the national security officials alarmed. They're not doing a good enough job. That's the whole point of swamp training. In a letter obtained by NBC, the officials urged the Senate to carefully evaluate whether Gabbard's equipped for the position. So all these people are anonymous, it appears. Are they anonymous? There's a couple are on record, but I don't recognize these names. These are not household names. They're trying to gin stuff up, but here's the main point. The main point is they are broadcasting that if Hegseth goes down, they just move on to the next person. You're going to nickel and dime us to death. They want to get it so that this is the deep state caucus yet again, the deep state cabinet yet again. And we can't trifle with that. Can't play around with it. Got to confirm everyone. Cannot back down, cannot give an inch. We gave the inch, Matt Gaetz. That's it. That's it. That's all you can do. We can't do any more than that. All right. If you have any thoughts on that, aloha@alexmarlow.com. I can't imagine there's a lot of disagreement in this audience with that. I just am wondering what people are struggling with, what the Joni Ernsts are struggling with here. I hope she watches. I hope people from her staff watch. Because she knows I'm not unsympathetic. It's just not the time or the place. Hegseth, good enough. Way good enough by a mile. All right. Next up, changing gears. Paul Krugman is going to retire from the New York Times. Paul Krugman, famous for saying the internet wouldn't become a big thing. He's allegedly an economist and but mostly just writes left-wing opinion. He has been a source of content for me for so long. I am so sad to see him go. And he's one of the exemplars of how the New York Times editorial page is mostly about setting unhinged left-wing narrative and not actually about truth. So he has voiced conspiracy after conspiracy. It just has to be, I got to go back. I bet you he's generated more than 1 million comments on articles at Breitbart News over the years. So this is devastating for me. You guys think this is a good thing? No, this is devastating. I want Paul Krugman to be around forever. I want to we got to hire him. That's it. Misty, make a note. I'm going to the staff. I got to get some money for Krugman. But you see what's really happening is that with these left-wing guys, they don't know how to do Trump again. They had a field day with Trump. They all got rich off of Trump the first time around because of all the alarmism. And then Biden comes in and Biden stunk. He was terrible, frustrating, wouldn't talk to the press, did a bad job on everything. Economy was bad. And it's one of these things where you've got a scenario where they don't want to just retread the same territory, knowing that Trump's a lame duck, meaning he can do whatever he wants, never going to run for anything again. And he got more popular despite all their attacks, showing how irrelevant they are. The more they attacked him, the more popular Trump got. So they're going to have to come up with creative ways to deal with it, which I will get to one of those in a second, or they're just going to leave. They're just going to take their football and go home. So, and I would look for some of that. I think some of that's happening. I think we're going to get quite a bit of people who just retire. We saw this a little bit with the fact that Bill Maher is floating whether or not he wants to move on. You're going to get some people who are just, I can't do it again. I can't do any more Trump. You look at the Drudge Report, which was conservative for many years, my favorite website for many years, will not put Trump on their page. So Drudge Report really wanted Trump out and bet big on Trump going down. And now if you search for the word Trump on the Drudge Report today, it doesn't exist. He's not a single mention. Why? They're trying to come up with new ways to deal with the fact that we're getting Trump again. And some people are just going to throw their hands up and just say, we lost. I've got a bunch of money. I'm going to go spend it and go hang out. Others are going to go the other direction. Los Angeles Times owner plans to launch tech-driven bias meter on articles. Patrick Soon-Shiong, a guy who's a liberal who turned over the terrible Los Angeles Times to his far-left millennial daughter and let her destroy it even more. And now he is going to try to build some sort of a AI product where the readers can press a button and get both sides of a story. This premise is idiotic. And I don't know if Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong is an idiot, but this is an idiotic thing to do. It assumes something that is completely bogus, which is that there's a left-right dichotomy in this country. That's not the point. Look, I am a card-carrying member of the conservative movement. I was in the college Republicans when I was in college. I voted Republican almost my whole life. I consider myself a conservative. I've read my Milton Friedman and my Hayek and my von Mises and my Thomas Sowell and all the classic conservative writers. And I will tell you right now that that's not what is animating to me when I get out of bed. I want to destroy the left and I want to destroy the establishment. I spend no time on liberals anymore. There's no point. It's the establishment is the problem. Liz Cheney is so much worse to me than John Fetterman. It is the people who try to sabotage Trump are such a bigger problem to me than anyone who would be qualified as a liberal this day and age. But Patrick Soon-Shiong doesn't understand this. So a lot of times when you're looking at an issue, it's not a left-right thing. It's a establishment to anti-establishment thing. The anti-establishment is what gave us our insane spending, or deficit spending. It's the establishment all wetting their beaks, the permanent political class in Washington. So he comes up with this stuff. I just wonder why, and Cernovich talked about this quite a bit on yesterday's show, why some of these people just want to guess what the conservative movement's all about, not just talk to us. We're here. We're available. You can talk to us. We're around. So, I mean, I can explain this. And I am. I'm explaining it now. But there's no, the premise that there is a left-right divide now is just not, it misses the whole point. We're fed up with the aristocrats of this country telling us what to do. That was the message that was sent in 2016 and even more resoundingly in 2024. We're fed up with the people like NBC News and people like Joy Reid who talk out of both sides of her mouth and gets a 7-figure or 8-figure salary to do that. Let me play this clip of Joy Reid talking about Hunter Biden and the pardon versus her talking about any potential Trump pardons.
The presidential pardon was originally meant to grant the president the power to temper justice with mercy. It was not enshrined in our Constitution so that a dishonorable man could reward his criminal allies, friends, and family for their corrupt practices. I don't have a problem with Biden pardoning his son. He should have pardoned him. The crazies are coming, right? But to me, it's like pardon more.
There you go. So that was December 2020 when Trump is doing pardons. It is an outrage. And then when it's December 2024 and Biden is pardoning his family members and who knows how much more we're going to go from there, then all of a sudden everything is completely acceptable. It's great. He should do more pardons. So you see how lost they are, but I'll tell you the solution is not whatever this bias meter is. And do you think the left-wing audience of the LA Times wants a bias meter? No, they don't want that at all. They want more leftism. They want AOC to run for president. You guys know she's floating it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez taking steps. She wants to run. This was in Politico. Launches bid for top role on oversight as some Democrats predict she'll win. Takes another move towards becoming president of the United States. She wants to, I think she'll be 35, right? By then? She'll be ready to go. They're going to try this. They're going to try to outflank each other on the left to win a Democrat primary. Which is why, if Trump does well, we could be looking at automatic another 4-8 years. We cannot blow this. We absolutely cannot blow this. The opportunities are too big. It is the pro-Hamas wing, the socialist wing. Do we want more socialism? Just more spending, unchecked spending? That's the move now? But hey, she's got energy. She's got great energy. Back to the pardons issue. This is a big topic of conversation right now. Preemptive pardons. This is the real deal. This could be happening. Let's play a clip of this being discussed in the news.
You think preemptive pardons are necessary for people like yourself, other folks that Dr. Anthony Fauci, Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, I mean, that could be targeted by a Kash Patel-led FBI?
Okay, so this is Jim Acosta. You guys know Jim Acosta, who was White House correspondent, was demoted to weekend anchor on CNN because he was giving too many opinions. He's talking to someone named Olivia Troyer, who is a former counterterrorism aide to Mike Pence, who was a huge critic of Trump, MSNBC person, and Kash Patel has said flat out that she lied about intelligence, she lied about making things up on operations, and she put the lives of Navy SEALs at risk. Now, in the show prep today, I did not look into the total veracity of Patel's claims. But I'll tell you, if he's right, and I always trust Cash on this stuff, then why wouldn't she be prepared to face some sort of legal scrutiny? She should be, if that's the case. So let's hear how she reacts.
It's certainly something to consider. I guess my question is, I have not done anything wrong. I know that. And I know that many of us who have just spoken the truth, all we're doing is speaking the truth. But in today's environment, in terms of what's to come under the Trump administration, I think that's something that we're all thinking about and wondering what's to come. And I think I am a prime example of what's to come when I've already gotten a threatening letter by someone like Kash Patel, who we know is a loyalist and a henchman for Donald Trump.
All right.
She looks scared, and she should look scared. She should be scared. The deep state has got to go. And if that means we got to prosecute some people, we got to prosecute some people. Not if you don't deserve it. Don't just do it to harass them. But if you got the goods, let's bring it. Bring them. No one should be free from prosecution in this government who is actually, there's a real contest that they're guilty. So it's not my rule. It's their rule. They're the lawfare people. They're the ones bringing case after case after case against Donald Trump and his family. They can't stop legally harassing these. You had a J6 arrest this week. This week, we had a J6 arrest. They're still doing it. They're trying to round up every MAGA person they can while they still can. Lawfare is breaking this country. And I'll tell you, the first step towards resetting it is not allowing only the left to wield that tool. People need to be on notice that if you are not coming correct, then you're going to be vulnerable. So it is not to be used lightly. Of course, I don't think people should be harassed just because they did their jobs. But I'll tell you, if you feel like that you're going to break the law in order to undermine Donald Trump because you think he's such a bad orange man, then absolutely you should be investigated. And that's why they're talking about preemptive pardons of people like that little pencil neck Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney. I would love to see it because if they accept, it's an admission that they did something illegal. It's an admission that if they got hauled into court and they were forced to defend some of their actions, that there would be something that was illegal that was uncovered. So I'd love to see it. I hope Biden does it. I really do. The left is just truly a mess right now. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to deal with anything that is being thrown at them. Recall that Morning Joe and Morning Mika went to Mar-a-Lago and tried to kiss Trump's butt a little bit because they want to keep relevant, but their audience is just cratering. I mean, their audience is just turned away from them in a major way. And why wouldn't their audience turn away from them? Because their audience are left-wing wackos who've been told for years that Trump is Hitler, and now Trump's in there. And he's not a fascist. He's actually kind of cool to hang out with in Mar-a-Lago. So we have been, So now we had Rashida Jones, the MSNBC chief. She might be fleeing the network. This is my point, is that they might feel like they have to quit. CNN and MSNBC ratings are falling to lows unseen in decades, John Nolte writes for us at Breitbart News. There's other stuff too, and you don't have to cover Trump. There's this murder. There's a war in the Middle East. There's war in Eastern Europe. There's Diddy and all of his bottles of lube. I mean, there's stuff going on. Yet we're seeing just huge numbers of crashing because it's the networks are not creating content for normal people. They're creating content for political wackos, extreme left wingers. And Morning Joe, all of a sudden, and Patrick Soon-Shiong at the Los Angeles Times, they want to flip the switch and act like they're not just speaking to wackos. They want to speak to normal people. They're not speaking to normal people anymore. Normal people are gone. They've been gone because they got sick of all the Trump hysteria. And then when it turned out you were lying, that Kamala wasn't going to win, and that Trump wasn't Hitler, what are they supposed to do? Like come back? They're going to come back. They're gone. They found other ways to get their news. Let's play Morning Joe struggling here. This is fun.
Sound of fear. No, that wasn't the sound of fear. That was the sound of civility. And saying that Mika had apologized. Mika didn't apologize. No, She simply said it was too flippant. Now, I would recommend that if we're at a stage where a comment like this causes a meltdown. And I saw George Conway, another guy we have on the show, and we love George, saying,
we love George. George, one of the main proponents of lawfare, the guy who invented the E. Jean Carroll case. Trump has no idea who E. Jean Carroll was. It was from decades ago. And George Conway met her at a party and said, let's sue Trump. That was it. We love him. We love him. So this is where they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. By the way, it's the Scarborough, like he's got the quarter zip. It's like, I'm going to war with the quarter zip. Now, it's just not that good of a look. Why is he in the quarter zip? Such a weird set. They got these faux columns. They got a faux White House in the background. And yeah, he sort of looks like he's at his breakfast table. No more quarter zips, guys. We're stopping it. We're shutting it down. It's just not great. All right, let's continue.
Saying, read this article. It's going to make you very sad, but you must read it all. Oh, because of the fearful times we're in. Well, there's some problem with the times that we're in.
You can't be fearful.
If you can't be fearful, just because some people have said that we're fearful, let me tell you something. You can talk to anybody that's worked in the front office of NBC and MSNBC over the past 22 years. I'll tell you, I'm not.
All right. They're so lost. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to message this audience to their audience, which is dwindling, it's cratering. I wonder what's going to happen because Mark Barnacle said it on MSNBC's show. They're not going to compete with what's happening online. It's so much more fast paced, so much more interesting, more variety, different stories. Heavy show today. It wasn't my intention, but it's important stuff. Hot news going on. Trevor Lawrence, the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback, needs surgery after that illegal hit that we played from Aziz Al-Shair, the guy who had the Palestine cleats on, pro-Hamas cleats. So there you go. Interesting. All right, got a lot of email, a lot of comments on YouTube and Rumble. Any place you're leaving comments, I'm trying to read them all. And too many to keep up with lately, which is great. Aloha@alexmarlow.com. But I want to bring some of these up. Tom Burley in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Alex, I think Trump could make the Hegseth nomination a slam dunk if he would call a press conference and remind the voters that he won because voters wanted to see the government change to be in line with his campaign promises. And he should declare that if they want the job done, he has to have a cabinet of his choosing, not one that pleases the deep state. And then let it be known that the accusations against Pete are from anonymous sources and have no basis in fact. To counter those character assassination attacks, list all of the medals he is awarded. Then he should choose telling the voters to contact their senators and strongly urge them to vote yes on his nomination. I have no disagreements there. I think that's pretty much in line with what I've been saying on the show, but it's just important that I feel like Tom writes his email very politely. Punctuation's correct, capitalization's correct, spelling of names is correct. These are not nutty people, Senator Ernst, who want Hegseth confirmed. Normal people want him confirmed. So we, the normies, think that he's good enough. Maybe he's best. And Trump should get the cabinet he wants. Important. All right. Jim Mackey writes, hi, Viva Frey seems to be doing what you and Cernovich were speaking of, showing a healthy, happy family. Toward the end of the Cernovich interview, it's a long one, so you might not have gotten here yet, even if you're checking it out. Mike and I talk about how we both have nice families and we have wives we like and we have lots of children. He's got 4 as well. And it would probably reflect well on ourselves and on the movement if we shared some of what we do in our personal lives with our audiences, but it's also feels a little exploitive, feels a little dirty, feels a little like we're trying to advance our own careers and use our family to do that, especially young kids. It's just kind of weird and creepy. And I struggle with it because I feel like I want to be a city on a hill. I want to be able to be more forthright with the audience. And I feel like you guys trust in me and I want to trust in you. But there's also, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. And this is something I struggle with a lot because I think it would help my career. And I think all of you would be interested to meet some of my family members and see the young ones. And they're really fun and cute, and they'll put a smile on your face. And it's also feels a little too personal. And this is something that I have to deal with because we're in such a voyeuristic culture. And that does not suit my personality very well. I like my ideas. I like talking. If I had my choice, I wouldn't necessarily even do it in front of a camera. So that's the reality that you have to deal with. I want to live in the realm of ideas. And now you live in this social media environment where everything is visual. Everything feels like you want to be a fly on the wall. And it's just the people magazine-ification of life. And I can only fight against it in a small way because I'm just one person. I luckily have a big voice because I'm editor of Breitbart, but it's a real thing to grapple with. And Cernovich and I discussed this at the end of the interview. It's really interesting. But Jim writes, I'm not a family guy and don't care about the kids yet. I know this is a happy man with a happy life, a loving wife and homeschooling his son as they fish, go to alligator farms, collect seashells. He's talking about this Viva Fry character and swim with manatees. He takes quick breaks to let his crippled dog out or into the room as he broadcasts. He'll do 10 minutes of this crap. They bought at the local craft market. With his son. People love this stuff. They absolutely love it. I watch this stuff too. I'm on the social media and it's just like some guy, like, here's how I do my 5 to 9 after my 9 to 5. Come with me as I make brunch. And it's all normal stuff. And if you saw my face while I'm engaging with this content, this is my face. It's just a plain look for those of you just listening on audio. It looks like I'm doing nothing. There's no smiling. There's no laughing. There's no anger. You're not super engaged with it, but you do find yourself compelled to watch. I wonder what life is like for this person. And it is fun sometimes to go to the alligator farm and just like, if I went to an alligator farm and I posted it on my feed, I know you guys would watch it. You would. So I got to think about it. It's just effort too. It's a lot of effort. And I want to focus on being able to check in, be with all of you, talk about the ideas, and then go back to family life for now. But maybe it won't always be that way because maybe that is not the way to get through and to maximize your audience. So I'm working on it. And I definitely want your feedback. aloha@alexmarlow.com. If you have any thoughts on this dilemma, it's a real dilemma. All right. Dan Byer gets another mention because he's the funniest person on my YouTube so far. Alex, is that a tiny cup of coffee or is it a tiny cup of espresso? I had in the Cernovich interview a Le Creuset espresso cup. I have a good espresso machine. I will not do free ads on the show. It's going to be unfair to future advertisers. But I just gave one for Le Creuset, which is a nice brand, ceramic. It's adorable. And it's just so satisfying. I got a good espresso maker. And when you get that nice shot, you get the crema going. I like a dark roast. This is frowned upon, the coffee community. It's absolutely bogus. All the coffee community now, they want to have light roast, maybe medium roast. You go to Italy, you get that freshly pulled cup of espresso. They don't even have any chairs. They don't even have any bar stools. You have to stand at a bar and have that double shot or a cappuccino if you're a milk guy. I'm not a milk guy. In the morning. That is the best cup of coffee you'll ever have in your life, is that double espresso at the bar, standing up in Italy. There's nothing better. One of the pleasures God gave us on earth is that opportunity. And you know what they're making? They're making dark roasts. So don't give me this light roast stuff. It's fine. I'll get it if I'm at a craft coffee shop, whatever, in LA, because I know that's what they're doing. When in Rome, when in hippie country. But the best cup of coffee is a dark roast pulled from the Italian espresso machine. And that's what I was at last night or yesterday during the show when I was recording with Cernovich. More hot coffee talk later. All right. Let's see. I think that's going to be it. That's good, right? Leave you wanting more. A lot of feedback on the Cernovich interview. It's the keep sending that in because I'm going to do some of these deep dives. I'm playing with the format. And if you guys have a thought, anything you're loving or not liking as much, if you think the monologues are too short or too long, if you think the interviews are just too interesting for you, I'm interested in whatever your thoughts are, because we're still building the plane as we're flying it here. But I think we're off to a strong start. All of you telling 10,000 friends and family members about the Alex Marlow Show, going back on our YouTube and checking out those past episodes, very good. Leaving comments, very good. I love the feedback, and I feel like we're on to something here. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks to producer Misty. Over at the Breitbart Fight Club, I do an interview with John Carney on jobs numbers and all the chaos in New York. You guys can check that out. We have a special on Monday with Dr. Gorka at the Breitbart Fight Club, which is going to be amazing. We're going to do a big interview for our founding members over there. So you subscribe to our premium app, and you'll get that, which I'm going to lead as usual over there. So tons of stuff. Breitbart's hot right now, and it's all thanks to you telling 10,000 friends and family members. That is today's show, and thank you for watching or listening.